Good evening. I'd like to call the May Oak Harbor Planning Commission to order. We have with us Commissioner Bonson, Commissioner Plumley is remote, and Commissioner Chazar, so 3 to 4 are here, so we have a quorum. You have before you the minutes from the April 25th, 2023 Commissioner meeting. Are there any changes, corrections, additions to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval?
I'll motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Andy, do I have a second?
A second.
Great. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Okay, at this time, there are no comments that were submitted online. We have nobody in the audience. So we have no public comment today. And so we will move on to the public hearing. Do we need to open the public hearing, Sarah? Okay. Let's go ahead and open the public hearing. You'll be given an opportunity to testify or submit comments. There ain't nobody here yet, so. Do I need to close the public hearing now?
You can ask if any were submitted electronically.
Okay. Have any been, okay. And none have been submitted electronically. So do I close the meeting now? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and then we're going to move on to discussion presented by David Kuhl on ordinance number 1976, amending the Oak Harbor Municipal Code Section 17.05-.030 permit fees and 17.05.060 amendments and additions. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the commission, appreciate you coming down for the meeting. This is a building code update. We've been working on fixing various things in our code, and so our Title 17 in our municipal code is what controls the building code. It's what implements the actual building code for us. So there's two provisions of Title 17 tonight we'd like to take a look at. The first section of Title 17 is 1705-030. It's the plan check fee. We would like to change the timing of the collection of plan check fees and collect that up front rather than 6 months after it comes in the door. I'm not totally sure why it was created the way it is at 6 months, but most places you go, it's standard practice to collect the plan check fee as soon as you have all the plans you need to review and you've deemed it complete. This will ensure the city collects the money up front and is not still waiting for payment later in the process. This has occurred actually in the past where we did all the plan review for a project, used our expertise and our time, and then the project didn't go forward. So the city winds up losing out in that situation. So we're better off collecting the money up front. The second section we'd like to talk about is Title 1705-060. It's the permit expiration. Currently, the building permit expires after 6 months, and we'd like to extend the building permit life to 2 years. I've seen it done various ways in various communities. Sometimes it is 6 months, but we think 2 years is a reasonable amount of time. It would eliminate the time it takes for us to keep track of a permit with a builder. It would ensure that it does not get stalled while waiting for an updated permit. And the 2-year permit is a common occurrence in many jurisdictions. So the next steps on this is a city council hearing on June 6th. And this is the actual draft language as a recommendation, we recommend you make a motion on. That concludes our report.
Thank you, David. Do we have any questions for Director Kuhl? Andy, any questions? Okay.
No questions. Thank you, David.
Okay, with that, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move to recommend the city council approve the text amendment to the Oak Harbor Municipal Code retaining to plan check fees on the building permit expiration.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda is a presentation from CAC on the active transportation plan. CAC?
Good evening. Thank you, Chair, and thank you to all the planning commissioners that are here. I have a very short presentation. I wanted to keep the planning commission up to date on our progress on the active transportation plan, and thought this would be a good time to just share the material that we have received. Everything that was included in your packet is in draft form. We are working with the consultant on looking at a lot of that data that's been given to us, and we're still in conversation with them about making changes. Because we meet with the commission once a month, and due to the summer schedule that's coming up, I thought it would be good to have a touch point with the planning commission, give a quick update, even though the materials are very draft in nature. And then over the summer, whenever we get a chance, I will give further updates and keep the planning commission up to date on this project. So with that, I will jump into a short presentation, provide a little history on how this project started, what's happened so far, and where we are in the planning process. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me a moment. Okay, I hope you can see that. So the active transportation plan, we got funding from the IRTPO grant money to do this project. As you can remember, for the commissioners that were here last year, we started this project at the end of last year. The city council approved the contract with Tool Design in November. This is a project that is overseen by WashDOT, so we had to get their approval on the contract. They did that in December. We had our first project meeting with the consultants in January of this year. And since then, we've been meeting with the consultants every 2 weeks, making progress on this project, a lot of planning, a lot of internal discussion, and about how to engage the public and how to design the process going forward. So what has happened so far? So we've had the consultant give us a community engagement plan, which included a pop-up event at Holland Happening. If anybody visited the Holland Happening at the end of April, the city had a booth and we had a couple displays, and the consultant was there to help answer any questions. We had a lot of people stop and chat with us. We also have a online survey and a map, an interactive map that we can collect comments on from the public on specific locations, intersections, whether it's challenges and so on. There's also been a steering committee that has been formed to provide input onto the plan. So the steering committee looks at the plan at the 30,000 foot level and provides the consultant general direction on how the plan should move forward. Since the steering committee looks at the plan at the 30,000 foot level, which is a high level, they only need to see the plan 2 or 3 times just to provide that major shift in the plan. So we had one steering committee meeting that was in April. The consultant also met with several focus groups. There would be Bicycle Club, the Opportunity Council, and other groups and organizations to gather input on services that's provided and how many of their users are involved in active transportation, and find that a good way to get services. So there's been a lot of input into this plan already. As I mentioned, we have a online survey with a link on our city website, And we are planning on more public engagement opportunities in the future. So this is the approximate timeline for the project. Spring of this year, this is where the consultants analyzed existing plans. They looked at our existing infrastructure. I'll go over that in a little bit. And then in the summer of this year, they are going to be developing the policies, the program, and the project recommendation based on the input that they received from the public and from the survey. And as we get into the fall, we'll start reviewing the draft plan and hopefully adopt this plan before the end of this year, and then look at implementation schedule from there on out. So what are some of the progresses that I want to report to you today? We've had, like I said, an engagement plan, and we have more to come. The consultants have looked at the existing conditions and they've done an analysis on our existing conditions. That has been provided in your packet for your reference. Again, like I said, these are all in draft form and are still being under discussion, but if you have any thoughts or comments, we'll be happy to take them and pass them along. There was also some findings from the network analysis, which has been provided in your attachments. And then when we eventually get to analyzing the projects that we want to consider, we wanted to have some sort of a methodical approach to how you prioritize projects. So that is already being discussed. I think I have provided that material also in your packet for your reference. And then we've already starting to talk about what the plan is going to look like. What is the outline? What are the elements? What is it going to capture? And we've also started talking about what is the active transportation's vision and goals, which I will share with you in a couple slides. So these are some of the documents that they have looked at. So some of the things that the consultant does is look at all our existing plans, look at projects, look at proposals there, see if they can take information from that and compile it into the active transportation plan. And also if there are changes or barriers that they see in existing plans that they think need to be changed, they're reviewing for those as well. So this is just an example of the inventory that they've done. This map shows all the painted crosswalks and all the pedestrian crosswalks and crossings that we have in Oak Harbor. They use this in the analysis and their models, but this is just an example of some of the information that they are collecting or they have collected. This is just to show all the bicycle facilities that we have in Oak Harbor, not very many, and hopefully that'll change, but we need to just look at what we have. And from a bicycle facility standpoint, we don't have too many of those facilities in town. They also look at zoning. Does zoning and land use play a big part in active transportation? Absolutely. The layout of land dictates how people move within the community, whether it is for work or for recreation. And so in the long run, if we want to make changes to our land use designations and zoning to accommodate active transportation, what are some of the things that we can do? And they are looking at that as well. So one of the things that the consultant does is to have staff interviews. They interviewed people from Public Works, from the Streets Department, and people from WashDOT to capture some of the challenges in Oak Harbor. So some of the key takeaways are, you talk to anybody and they talk about how the waterfront is a key in Oak Harbor and having access to it, and how a plan should accommodate that. Some of the challenges are about the existing infrastructure, like we saw on the bicycle facility maps, not too many bicycle facilities. So to require developers to try and design their buildings and to accommodate active transportation is really challenging when we don't have the infrastructure to support it. Coordination with Island Transit and their routes and land use planning will be really helpful. Stormwater management, anytime we want to add any pathways or any surface, stormwater is always an issue, and especially in the right of way. So these are existing challenges that were identified. What is the suggested vision for the active transportation plan? And this is a very simple statement: to create a network that invites people of all ages and abilities to walk, bike, and roll throughout Oak Harbor. It's a very simple vision, and I think it's good to keep vision statements very simple, easy to understand. I think this is pretty straightforward. It's a very large big vision, but it can have implications and goals and policies moving forward. So what are some of the goals that the plan is trying to capture with the active transportation plan? So mobility, to have an element of mobility, making walking, bicycling, and rolling a comfortable and attractive transportation option for all. So the plan is hoping to provide ideas and policies where we can make it really attractive for people to use their bikes or walk. And then an element of health. We definitely want to promote physical and mental health through our land use efforts. And increasing the opportunity to have active transportation definitely supports that. We also want to have the element of safety. We want our children and our families to be able to use this network safely without being worried about any accidents or other dangers that are preventable. So we want to have that safety element. And then, of course, equity. We want to serve people from all income levels and all capabilities. So we want the plan to be equitable. So these are some of the goals under the larger vision of trying to serve citizens in Oak Harbor. Some of the analysis that they have done based on the existing facilities, and this is a map, and all these maps and analysis has been provided in your packet as attachments. So this is they've analyzed all the intersections in Oak Harbor and kind of determined what is the stress level for pedestrians crossing these intersections. And as you can see, it is no surprise that most of the stressful intersections are on arterial streets along Highway 20, along Swantown Road, along Scenic Heights, along Whitby Avenue. So these are major automobile access ways, and therefore they are the points of where they cause the most stress for pedestrians and bicycles. This is a map to show the bicycle level of stress, and this is based on, and the methodology on how they did this is all provided in the attachments. It's based on speeds and bicycle lanes and whether there are sidewalks or there are no sidewalks. And so, as you can see here, again, arterial streets, Highway 20, Swantown, Whitby Avenue, Crosby, Heller, all of these show up in red, stress level 4, again, mainly due to the automobile traffic and the speed levels there. This is the sidewalk coverage, part of assessing how active transportation is going to work. We want to see how the sidewalk network in Oak Harbor is, and as you can see, the blue lines indicate whether there are sidewalks on both sides, the purple on one side, and red shows where there are sidewalks on none. And as you can see, the southeast part of town has a lot of streets that don't have sidewalks on both sides. There are other areas. Again, this is a draft map. We are providing feedback to the consultants to change some of these. Especially, we don't want to necessarily take into account private streets that are in PRDs and maintained by homeowners association into our network coverage. These private streets act very different than public streets. And so we'd like to have our policies and plans address public streets and not private streets. So, but anyway, from a public street standpoint, you can see that most of our infrastructure needs regarding sidewalks are on the southeast and central part of Oak Harbor. Again, no surprise that we're documenting these and trying to accommodate them in proposals moving forward is critical. So this is where we are in the overall active transportation plan. We're looking at existing information. Today or yesterday, we got a document on looking at some of their analysis a little further. So we are still continually working with the consultant. The survey is currently active and open till June 3rd. If you can spread the word to people that you know that are interested, or to organizations that may be interested, it's on our website. Please promote input for that. Once the survey is done, we'll compile those results and share them with the commission and the council. Hopefully we'll have a lot of good information to take away from there and incorporate into our plan and start developing proposals and projects for that. So this is what I have currently, and I just wanted to share that with the Planning Commission. I will be happy to take thoughts or comments. As I said, we will come back as often as we can in the next 2 to 3 months as time is available, and provide the Commission with more updates and more information on the plan. We'll continue to update the project website with information. That's another place you can go and look for information. So with that, I will turn it back to the Commission and be open for questions or comments.
Thank you. Thank you, CAC. Do any of the commissioners have any questions for CAC or comments?
I do.
Okay, Andy, go ahead.
Thank you, CAC, for the presentation. I just wanted to ask if there has been any engagement, or if there's room for engagement with organizations that focus on the ADA component, maybe Island County Parent, or some organization that early in the planning can help see those things that for those who are mobility challenged or have special needs in our community may not seem apparent to those of us that don't face those challenges.
Absolutely. I think we do have a couple members from Island County that are on the steering committee that's looking at the plan at the 30,000 foot level, and hopefully they'll be able to provide some input related to that. But that is a very good point. I think we do want to look at most of our intersections. I think the consultants may also have experts in the ADA field, so that when they propose projects to us, they'll have that angle and that eye for that as well.
Awesome. Thank you. The only other question I had was, is there any possibility, or has it been considered maybe reaching out to some of the rideshare organizations, Lime, those ones that do the rental bikes, and see if there's any grants or funding that they might provide to help offset the cost when we do start building?
I think there's a possibility for that. I'm not sure if we need to incorporate that into the planning phase of it. This may be like follow-up steps and proposals that come out of the plan to look at opportunities for implementation. So I think that will come further in this plan with the proposals and so on.
Thank you.
CAC, I noticed that the naval properties is included in the analysis. 2 questions. Are they part of any of the focus groups or members of the steering committee? Anybody, any Navy, or is this just Lanyap that was just added onto the program? It's not really part of the active transportation plan.
The seaplane base is within the city limits, and therefore we include that area in our active transportation plan. However, our policies may not be implementable there, but we can use the plan to make connections and so on with them. And we do have the representative of the Navy on the steering committee.
Fantastic, thank you. Any other questions for CAC? Thank you, CAC, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the agenda is the monthly departmental report by Director David Cool.
So the monthly report this month, I'll give you a quick update on what's happened at the council. The SEPA exemption that's been working through the process for quite a long time finally was approved on May 16th, and so we have an approved ordinance for the SEPA process. So that's been updated. And all of you attended the joint workshop on the 17th. Thank you all for attending. I certainly would love to hear your feedback on what you thought from that process. So collect your thoughts for a couple minutes, and then we'll go ahead and hear what you have to think about it. Also, in our monthly report, the long-range planning, the multifamily tax exemption process will be going to council tomorrow. So Anthony Hempstead is our contractor that we've hired. He'll be coming in to brief the council and get a kickoff meeting on the multifamily tax exemption program. That was actually the program that was the highest rated goal for the council to do in the housing advisory study, the task force that was formed a few years ago. That was the highest ranked recommendation to actually do a multifamily tax exemption program. So it took us a little while to get it together, and we finally got it through our purchasing arena and got that in a contract form. And so they'll be here tomorrow to kick it off. That'll be a 4-month program, so we should have that done by September 1st. So on your calendar, if you can plan ahead, we're planning to have the regular Planning Commission meeting in August so that we can have the Planning Commission see what the game plan is for multifamily tax exemption. We'd like your input on it as well. And then after that, we'll go to council for the final approval. If you are interested, as I said, they're at the city council tomorrow, so you'll be able to see what they have in mind. Also, the 2025 comp plan update that kind of centers around a little bit of work CAC has been doing, some work that Steve Schuler, the Public Works Director, and myself have been talking about, updating that and creating sub-area plans and doing some other work over the next 2 years. So that's a big project for us. Accessory dwelling units is another one. That's something Ray Lindenberg has briefed you on quite a bit already this year, and he'll be coming back to you to give you more information on that once he makes a couple decisions on how to deal with accessory dwelling units and how to define duplexes, all to be located in a single-family district. As you know, there's been a lot of push lately to allow duplexes in single-family districts, and so we're figuring out a way to accommodate that. Current planning, as you know, is in the actual report in your packet, and that has all the projects that we're working on. So the upcoming calendar, next Planning Commission is June 27th. We're also reaching out to 3 potential planning commissioners, and those are actually folks who applied to be on the city council. And so we're going to have a conversation with them and see if we can get them through the process. So you'll have 3 new members, hopefully, fairly soon. Also, the probable cancellation of the meeting in July. So we have a bit of a break in our workload, so our long-range planning will be building up again for August, so we're probably going to cancel that one in July. So what we have to do, though, as you know, from our rules that we went over last time, was we actually have to schedule that discussion in June and have you actually cancel the meeting for July. So that'll be on your agenda coming up next month. So any questions or comments or feedback maybe from the joint workshop?
Commissioners, any questions, comments? Andy, any comments, questions?
I have a comment about the joint meeting, yes. So I thought it went really well. I enjoyed being a part of it, and I thought the presentation by Mr. McCaslin was very informative. I think it was really an eye-opening thing to look at the kind of the differences that between our businesses, our structures, and what we need to do to make sure that each one of them are successful. So I really appreciated him being there and providing that to us. I think there should be some more joint sessions, and it would be nice to have some of the other commissions represented there as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Any other questions, comments? Anything else for David? Thank you, David. Do I have any member comments? Andy? No comments? No comments?
Nothing further.
Great, thank you. As David mentioned, our next meeting is on June 27th, 2023. With that, do I have a motion for adjournment?
I motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second, Andy?
I second.
Great. Those in favor to adjourn, say aye.
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 Aye.